Hey everyone, and welcome to Cooking Companion TV. I'm Jenna Edwards, and this is a recipe demo of mushroom strudel from the Farmer's Market Cookbook by Ruben. This is a great party recipe because it makes so much. It's also a ton of prep. So go ahead and make a few strudels with the stuffing and freeze them. We have to start with soaking the dried mushrooms, just 1/4 of a cup of dried morel mushrooms, not to be confused with morel mushrooms, like the ones with values. Let me know if you get that bad joke. So I'm soaking shiitake because I couldn't find morel mushrooms. So we'll soak these in hot water for 30 minutes, and let's work on the other mushrooms. We need to chop 1.5 pounds of assorted wild mushrooms like shiitake, oyster, and hen of the woods. A variety is necessary because there's so much stuffing that you'll want the different flavors. I chopped all these by hand, but maybe pulsing a food processor will be considerably quicker. I spent at least 45 minutes chopping. So by now, the dried mushrooms should be fully soaked, and we can chop those too and set them aside. Save the soaking liquid. You'll need that later. We also need to chop 3 shallots and 2 garlic cloves. Now heat a large saute pan to hot and add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Saute the shallots until they're lightly golden, about 5 minutes, and then add the garlic and the fresh wild mushrooms and continue cooking for 5 more minutes. I'm making sure the shallots are evenly distributed throughout the mushrooms, so take a few stirs to get all the shallots off the bottom of the pan. Now later on, you'll be stirring in lightly toasted pine nuts, so start toasting them while the mushrooms do their thing. The mushrooms will have wilted in the heat after a few minutes, and we'll add 1/4 cup of brandy and the morels along with the reserved soaking liquid. Bring this to a boil and cook until the liquid has evaporated, about 5 minutes. It might take you longer. Now chop up those toasted pine nuts. We're using about 1/4 of a cup, along with 1/2 cup of parsley and 2 tablespoons of thyme leaves. Make sure all the liquid in your mushrooms has evaporated. The last thing you want is a soggy strudel. Now stir in the pine nuts and the herbs and season with salt and pepper. And we've got to let the mixture cool, which could take about half an hour, even if you put it all in the fridge. Let's heat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and work on that phyllo dough. This is my first time working with phyllo, and it's pretty fun. So we got to set yourself up properly. I'm doing this all on the baking sheet that I'll actually put in the oven, lined with parchment paper, so I don't have to move it around that much. You'll need to cover the remaining phyllo dough with a damp cloth to keep it from drying out. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to take 1/2 pound of melted butter. Yes, 1/2 pound. That's 2 sticks. And sheet by sheet, brush the butter on. Because the edges of phyllo dry out before the middle, we'll brush on the butter at the edges first and then brush inwards. We'll do this with 5 more sheets for a total of 6 sheets, each brushed with butter from the edges, working inwards, remembering to cover the other phyllo sheets with a damp cloth to keep them from drying out. Now let's add the filling. Spread no more than 1/2 of the mushroom mixture along the length of the bottom third of the phyllo. This makes a thick strudel, so consider using only 1/3 and using the rest of the stuffing to make additional strudels to freeze. Now carefully roll up the phyllo over the mushroom mixture and continue to roll the mixture completely into a tight log. Once you've rolled the strudel halfway, you'll have edges to fold in like you were wrapping a gift. And then continue to roll up the strudel completely. And then lightly, and let's say lightly in air quotes, brush your strudel with more butter. Cut a few slashes in the top of the strudel. I think it's easier to slice the strudel along these slashes, so maybe make the slashes where you expect to cut the strudel, so that could be more than just a few. The slashes are to keep your strudel from exploding from the steam. And repeat this whole process to make additional strudels. And then bake in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes until the phyllo is golden and crisp, and slice at an angle and serve while warm. Now, I like more phyllo than mushroom mixture, so my future strudels were made with less mushrooms, and I halved the phyllo sheets to make smaller servings. I ended up with 4 additional strudels in the freezer. Now that's it for this recipe demo of mushroom strudel. Get the ingredients at cookingcompaniontv.com/mushroom strudel. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to this channel for more demos just like this. I'm Jenna Edwards, and thanks for watching.